Hey everybody, Scott Tennell here. Are you noticing your credit score is going down? Now, most people usually know when this is happening. They've either fallen behind with some late payments or they're maxing out their credit cards, or in some cases they're applying for too much credit too fast, which tends to drop your credit score. But what if I told you something that I'm seeing where even the best of credit borrowers are having their credit score reduced because of their credit card companies? What is that? Well, here's what's happening and what we're starting to see is there are credit card issuers that are going out and reducing your credit limits. So people that aren't paying on time, that sometimes becomes expected when there's red flags where people are making late payments or going over the limit or appearing to max out. That's not too uncommon. But the flip side is the person's handling their credit responsibly. They're not maxed out. They're making their payments on time. Minimum payments are even more than the minimum payment, using credit as it's intended. But what's happening now is the credit card companies we're starting to see are coming in and seeing that those lines of credit are not being fully utilized. So for example, let's say you've got a $10,000 limit and you've been typically averaging maybe a balance of maybe $1,000 or $2,000 a month, and either you pay the whole thing off every month or maybe you're making minimum payments, but you really don't utilize that full $10,000 credit limit that you have available to you. Now, for your credit profile, this is very important. If you're only using $1,000 to $2,000 balance, roughly of a $10,000 limit, you're only using 20% of what's called your debt utilization ratio, which means your credit limit in this example is $10,000, your balance is $2,000, so your balance divided by your limit is 20%. And if you're paying your accounts on time and that debt utilization ratio is less than 30%, then you are being rewarded for handling your credit responsibly. But now, in times like these, and it's happened before, credit card companies will start looking to see if there are lines of credit out there that aren't being used, and they want to reduce their exposure. So in times when it appears that some delinquencies may be rising, credit card debt and as a whole is increasing, which it has been, good paying credit customers are having their credit limits reduced. So let's go back to that same example. Let's say you've got that $10,000 limit, you've had it for a number of years, you typically have $1,500 to $2,000 a month balance on it, you handle it responsibly, you handle all of your other credit responsibly, and all of a sudden you either receive a notice, or worse yet, you just happen to notice on your statement that your credit limit's been cut from $10,000 down to $3,000. You didn't do anything wrong, they just decided to reduce their risk as a company to not expose themselves for credit that's not being used. Isn't that nice? So let's think about that for a second. So how does that impact you? You still pay your bills on time, right? You still manage your debt okay. You're not taking on any additional debt. But now that balance, that credit limit is now $3,000, okay? So now if you charge $2,000 on a balance and your limit is $3,000, well, now your debt utilization ratio is 66% instead of 20%. So even though you're paying the account on time, your credit score is actually being negatively impacted because now it looks like you are maxing out your credit card because the limit's been reduced by $7,000. It's the same debt, nothing's changed except for the amount of your available credit. So some creditors are giving some notice, some are not. Some can make appeals to your credit card companies, but keep your eyes out for this thing, okay? Especially if you do have a big purchase coming, whether you're buying a car, renting a house, buying a house, refinancing, anything that you need to have your credit access for any reason, and the score is important. You want to make sure that you're staying on top of that. So it could have a drastic impact on what your final terms can be and eligibility for financing, as the debt utilization ratio is 35% of the weight of your overall credit score. So it is fairly significant. The only thing more important than your debt utilization ratio is your on-time payment history. So you can see that having your limits cut, even though it's through no fault of your own, can still hurt you. So pay attention to it. If you have any questions, if you'd like more information about how credit scoring works, feel free to call us, text us, or email us. We're happy to help you. Until next time, have a great day.